were peasants, they had no college education. A lot of them were smarter than I am, what they knew and what they did. But again, now back to the wafer, the dinner. The table is set. The table is set. First star in the sky. Again, when that dinner was eaten, it wasn't like all these plates. There was a big bowl of this, and a big bowl of that, and a big bowl of that, and a big bowl of that. Remember something called a spoon rack? You see spoon racks? You can buy them even today. People collect them. Well, the spoon rack wasn't to be fancy. Every single person in that family had a spoon, and their name was on it. And it hung up there. They didn't have the silverware to set. So they took that, and everybody got the one I saw in the film. They come out and pick everybody the spoon. They put all the food down. The father sat at the head of the table, and he took the first bowl and ate, and he passed it to the next one, all the way down to the youngest. And he ate out of one bowl. It was a communal dinner. It was all shared from, it was about strengthening things. And under the table in some places, they would take chain and put it all around the four legs of the table. And when you ate, everybody had to have their feet on that, because your family would only be as strong as the weakest link in that chain. And they would put the straw underneath us to remind us of Jesus in the manger, and all those kind of things we would do. The candle in the window. All those things to welcome people to come, to be part of this. They often had prayers to bring people in. Come. That was a night, again, that all the ancestors came back. They came back to visit. They were all part of that. Again, in the prayer, if you listen to the prayer on Midnight Mass, and they say, and this is a night that the heaven and earth were joined when Jesus was born. It brought them both together. The families of those deceased people also came back and were part of it. Do you know when you have that empty chair there? Who's that for? We always say that's where Jesus goes, because he comes up, showing up like a beggar, and he comes there and sits there. We bring him in, and it's a beggar, and we go to that old song we sing, whatever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. Yes, we have Jesus there now, but before that you had the ancestors come there. Even sometimes when you sat down at your own chair, you would sort of flick around so that there was no spirit sitting there. Because just think, you would not want some spirit that was your great, whatever, that hated you, because you might not have a good year. So you also checked to make sure she wasn't there. You had that empty space set there. And you shared all those things. But that wafer is what brought you together. Even in current times, that wafer can be taken and placed and shared in a Christmas card. It's sent to people in Texas and Florida. And I had a funny incident with all this church stuff going on. With the rectory working and pastors there, and this lady comes up and she goes, Father, I need 100 packages of Oplatky. He looked at me because he's Irish. He doesn't know all this. He says, Larry, what gives you? What's going on? I said, well, that's a Christmas wafer. So she, you must be you have a big family. 100 packets, and that's 400 wafers. No. He goes, then you're going to mail them out in your mail. Everybody will get one in their Christmas cards. That's a real nice thought. He goes, no, Father. Oh, no, she goes, I got this for my family. We watch Mother Angelica on TV. We have our own communion. But people interpret this to be different things. It is. If you think about what's going on in that table, in all those, with the Lithuanians and the Slovaks and the Polacks, it's that father who is like a priest, who is bringing people together and sharing that wafer. He gives it out from the oldest to the youngest. In some places, again, honey is put on there. Again, getting back to that honey. Honey was, what do you get when you get a cough drop? Or honey? Honey is a healer. It heals things. It heals wounds. It heals lots of things. But all these things come together at this table that night, where heaven and earth are joined, and that wafer is shared with everybody that's there. And even those who aren't there, a space is left. Even some places, a meal is set for them. Even though they may not eat it, but they believe that they're there. And they're there. And some places they ask them to come. Holy sainted ancestors, come to us. Come to us tonight and visit with us when heaven and earth are joined, and you'll be with us again. And they would leave windows open and doors open because you didn't want the spirits to get caught in the windows. It's just like when they sew up stuff for funerals, they don't put any knots in it because you don't want the spirit to get caught on a knot when that body's leaving the earth and going to heaven. But back to the dinner again. And then when they're all done, they have a prayer and they say, Holy Saints and ancestors, come to, now we ask you to go from whence you came. You ate with us, you drank with us, you celebrated with us, and now go back. Because again, you don't want like imagine a dead mother-in-law spirit hanging around. So all those things were very real to them. And everything they did following a calendar. Okay? Now we're ready to make some wafers. Again, this has nice and hot. Again, there's a nice design that's carved in. This is done with aluminum. Okay? When you use aluminum, so you don't have anything that's going to stick, you cannot use, if you have metal, you cannot use shortening, lard, or any kind of oil. It will stick to it. I don't know why. But if you have this aluminum alloy, you have to use only beeswax. And it will not stick. So we're going to take some beeswax and we're going to rub it over. We're going to blot some of that off there. And we're going to ask Vanna, huh?
Why beeswax?
It's the only thing that works.
Because it comes from the bees.
I don't know, but I think it has to do with the metal. It's a combination of the metal and whatever. So if you want to come back here and put just about, oh, let's try one. The first one is the nasty one.
Yeah.
You can take that out of you.
One spoon.
About two maybe. We'll give it two.
Right in the middle.
Yeah. Okay, now we'll close it. This is the one, again, that sort of gets it cleaned out.
Where do you buy this?
You can buy them in Slovakia, and if you tell them, they'll make them for, I think you can get them from somebody in America, so if you go on the internet. But you can get them done for it, because again, they have 220. So we have to have a new kind of electric, you have to finagle that electric around. Well, they sent it right in the mail. We're very, now that's the one that's not good. We're going to put that right over here.
You heard him tell me to do that.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's try another one.
Same number.
Put about two, keep it right in the center. Now, when I learned this from Sister in the convent, I said, Sister, how long do you let this stuff cook? Go ahead, you can close it up. All the way down. I said, how long do you let this stuff cook? She goes, I'm going to teach you how to do it, and you're going to do it right when you're done with me. She takes no guff. I said, Sister, but how do you know? She goes, I'm going to tell you in just a minute. Just wait till this one comes out and we'll see.
It's whistling. Yeah.
Again, Slovaks have an answer for everything. You know, when there's a song, there's a Slovak, right? Those are some of the proverbs that they have, which they have, you know, put together.
Oh, okay. Well, a little bit more.
Now this one is soft, and if we would have kept it while it was soft, we could take it and roll it all around here like this, and then it would stay as a roll. Okay, we got that while it was soft. Gonna put another one on?
Do we need more
Yeah,
wax?
you could put two. No, you're doing pretty good with two. Now this is what Sister taught me about how long do you leave the wafers cooking. So you take it and you close it and you say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Glory be to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. Amen. When you see the smoke that has stopped, when you see that steam coming back on, I said, well, Sister, like, you must pray like 1,000,000 rosaries all the time. She goes, there's a reason why you're praying that, Lawrence, you know. Why, Sister? We'll just show you the next time. Should just about be done.
You ever get it oval like that?
Yeah.
The whole thing?
They come out more round. That's why I said square or Oplatky are not practical. Anytime they make a wafer, it had to be round. And if you look even online and you look for, they're all round and they time up with a nice bow, but they're round. They're not square. Those are all made by factories that do it. Let's put a little more. Let's do this real quick. Do that one.
It says Gloria in Excelsis Deo.
Gloria in
It has
Excelsis Deo, exactly.
Mary and the baby on it.
I couldn't find the round ones in Bratislava, they didn't know, but,
We're gonna take these to another level yet, if they make something else from them. Okay. Now, listen. She said, Lawrence, when you pray, listen. Those are the souls in purgatory crying for your prayers. Listen to that. That's screeching. She said, that's what it is. The souls in purgatory want you to pray for them. So you better pray the Hail Mary. You can hear that.
Oh, my. Did you believe that, though?
Well, this is the thing about the nun. She was 91 years old. Her name was Sister Illuminata. And she said she had a whole room, like in the top of the convent, where she had her wafer makers and the mixer. And she, I mean, that was her life, was making communion hosts. And of course, now that's like not what most nuns do in the convent want to do. They want to get dressed up and get ears pierced and their hair fixed up and go out and do stuff, okay? She said none of those nuns care about this. And that was this woman's life for years. She made all the communion wafers and all the hosts and everything. I just thought that was so sweet, you know. And she's so when we're getting ready to go, and it was sad, you know, to leave her. She was very old and frail. And she said, Lawrence, before you leave, she said, I have 2 eyes. I want you to take these home with you. They're heavy. I mean, you could hardly pick them up. She goes, you will be the only one that will take them and use them. These nuns, when I die, it'll all go to a plastic garbage bag. We know the drill.
2 what?
In a plastic garbage bag.
You 2 what? Have 2 what? How did they make it so nice and round?
Well, they got practice in it. If you watch even on some of the films, you'll see you can find them. But there it is. Now, the important part about this, and we go back to the religion, we go back to the church, we go back to the Mass. You can continue to make it if you like. Absolutely. When the priest holds up that host after the consecration, before communion, into the chalice, he takes it and he breaks it. It's called the fracture. He also takes a tiny piece and puts it into the wine. And then when he says, behold the Lamb of God, behold him who takes away the sins of the world, he puts it back together again. That's called the fracture. That has to happen. This goes back to that prayer whenever they say, my body is broken for you. I give it, it's broken for you. The fracture has to happen. What happens when you have those wafers? When you got those wafers, what happens? What do you do with each other?
Yeah.
You share them and you break them. It's the very same thing as lay communion. You're not doing this very same thing. You're saying those prayers and you're sharing, but it has to be broken. It's broken for you. My body is broken for you. And you share them with everybody in the family. Some people put the cross with the honey on it. Others I've seen sort of have it. They sort of like just dip them in, and one dip only. They dip them into the honey and then they eat them. Okay?
I don't know if they're yelling at me or
Let's see
not
if we
here.
can pass them around. Everybody can have some.
Not ready, right?
Not yet. But that's really how those wafers. Now, if you go into the mountains, in the mineral springs, they have lots of wafers with fillings between them. You can buy them. They're like a Carlsbad wafers. They're like candy. They're so good. They're round.
Yeah.
They have a little crisscross pattern on them. They don't have a Blessed Mother on them, but it's the same idea of heating these things and baking them. As I said, if you want to do a cookie one, you add more to it, and it makes it a little more substantial, not just a flour and water kind of thing.
They're souvenirs. Like it's the different places. They'll have a picture of the different buildings,
spas, and
people.
different things.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
How do they make the gluten-free ones?
Gluten-free ones. I was looking at those in church. We were looking at getting some of those, But our problem is how do you do the whole thing? But I believe you go and you use a rice flour. A rice flour can be used. I think there are other substitutions. I think they're coming up with more. If you look in your supermarket, there's a whole you can make cakes and cookies and everything else gluten-free, but use a rice flour. Now, is that legitimate? Is it really real?
You have to have a little bit of wheat in it, regardless of.
A lot of times I've seen, it's like my priest, when I'm helping, we're doing the basket blessing, and there's only like this much water in here. He goes, Larry, if it's like at least 10%, you can fill it up again, and it reconstitutes. There's a rule about that with holy water. But I think a lot of it depends on, again, we're dealing with different things we've never dealt before with this whole gluten-free kind of thing. At my mother's table, when liver got served, there was nobody who was on a diet. Nobody went to see their friends. You ate it, and that was it. But again, it's all who we are. All this stuff makes us the people that we are. It gives us our faith. It gives us our... Imagine those people in that country coming over here, and they were probably maybe 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, to just pack up with what you could carry